Welcome to News West 9's West Texas View with Johnny Lou Avery.
Welcome to the West Texas View. I'm so pleased to reintroduce you to FL Steve Stevens. He was here last Sunday, and as I told you then, we can't possibly get through with all the conversation that we've got as we discuss his newly published book called When Opportunity Knocked, because it's a handbook and lessons learned for a successful life, not only in relationships, but in business and in your personal attitudes. And so a couple of years ago, after building a very successful business as a pioneer in the convenience store business, he retired and sold Town & Country Corporation to the Stripes Corporation, and that's given him time to reflect. And so he put out this book, and I can tell you that after reading it, I have ordered copies for all of my people on my list that are going to be graduates, and also for the young parents on my list that I'm going to be giving gifts to. But and so if you've got any questions, jot them down and get in touch with me, and I'll tell you about it. But I want to welcome you back, Steve. Thank you so much for coming back. And I want to start today's program with the theme that you scattered throughout the book about life's choices, and how this led you to make your first career change as your college major. So you didn't have enough science, so you had to abandon that. So then you decided, well, I was a pretty good athlete in high school, so now I'm going to be a teacher and a coach. Right. And I was always good in math, so I'm going to be a math teacher. So then tell about going to Darrell Royal. You were enrolled at the University of Texas, so you went to Darrell Royal and said, I want to try out for the football team.
Yes, I did. Actually, it was before I had enrolled in the University of Texas. Pollyanna and I had gotten married, and I'd finished out the latter part of my 4-year commitment to the Air Force. And upon getting out of the Air Force, we were going to move to Austin and attend the University of Texas. And so, wanting to play football, went to see then young coach Darrell Royal, who had just been at the University of Texas for a couple of years at that time, and asked him if I could be a walk-on in the fall program, and he graciously allowed me to do so. So the plan there was I wanted to coach and teach, and I felt like if I were going to be a coach, I probably ought to have some college experience myself playing the game, so that was what motivated me to do that. Well, things were going fairly well until a student loan program that we had applied for was denied. So I had to face harsh reality right away and get a job. So I had to give up my football career, which was just barely getting started, if getting started really.
But let's go back before that. You made another choice. After you had to give up the science, you thought, I've got to rethink this a little bit. Yeah. So you and your buddies had heard about this advertising slogan with the Air Force said join the Air Force with your buddies and come into the Air Force on the buddy system.
That's right.
So you got there, and that was when you learned that there was no truth in some advertising.
That was probably my first example in that particular fact. Yes, my best friend and several other friends had already decided they were joining the Air Force after they graduated from high school, and I was finishing my first year of college, so not knowing really what else I wanted to do at that time with my doctor's plans having gone down the tube, I decided I'd join with them.
Your psychiatrist plans going down.
My psychiatrist plan. Join the Air Force with your buddies on the buddy system was a good plan, except it only lasted through the bus ride to Lackland Air Force Base. I never saw another one after that. But I did, the truth part of it was that I did see a part of the world in the Air Force with some buddies. They just weren't the same buddies from home.
Well, and then let's go back to another choice that I remember in the book that I loved. You had always, your father always wanted to be a teacher, but he couldn't make enough money as a teacher, and so he was a good carpenter. So
Right.
that's how he made the living for the family.
Correct.
But he also always had land around, and you had cows and chickens and raised
Sure.
gardens. And so you and your brothers decided to go into the cattle business.
Well, yes, we did. Actually, it was my dad's decision. This was right after World War II. I was probably 12 or so at the time. My older brother, the next oldest to me, was probably 15, and Dad thought the way out of the poorhouse was in the cattle business. Cattle prices were really rising at that time. And unfortunately, we made the classic mistake of buying the herd, our brood herd, so to speak. At the time, the prices were about as high as they were going to be.
Yeah.
So after we got them bought and then had to pay for them, the prices went down, and so we were struggling. That was a tough period of
So
time.
you hadn't quite grasped that you buy low and sell high, because you bought high and
right.
sold low.
That is not quite the way to
But
make it
look
work.
at all the lessons: determination,
Yeah.
perseverance, sense of humor in the face of adversity, and all of those kinds of things. Because that was all so much coming through in your book. But the other thing that I noticed is that you never put the blame on somebody else. It wasn't somebody else's fault.
No.
That was a very unsuccessful endeavor.
You know, my dad got in debt during that period of time, and of course, raising a family during the Depression didn't help a whole lot either. And I imagine he was fully retired before he actually paid off the last of those many debts.
Yeah.
But he paid them off.
He
He
never
didn't walk away from
never
anything.
declared
he didn't,
bankruptcy
no,
or
absolutely
anything
not.
like
He
that.
would not have done that under any circumstance.
The pride just would not have allowed him.
Well, it was more than just pride. It was a commitment that he had made. He went to the banker and said, "If you will borrow this money, I will pay it back to you." I mean, it's a fairly simple concept, right? And he was nothing if he was not a man of his word.
Yeah.
And he did pay them all back.
That's amazing. Well, we're going to have to take a break now, but when we come back, I want you to talk about how you met Pollyanna, your wife and your partner for all these
Right.
years. We're going to take a break right now, but we'll be back in just a minute and continue this conversation. Join us then.
Stay tuned. West Texas View will be right back.